Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here finally, for the Love is Blind reunion. Love is Blind season 6 reunion. I know I'm late to the party, y'all. You know when you roll up to a party late on CP time and you be like, I sure hope the good wine is still left in some of them wings. Hope the wings ain't cold, and I hope the good wine is still left. I hope they ain't opened up the cheap bottle of wines. Because you know how folks do it at parties in the beginning. If you get there early, you get the good wine, the good bottles. But if you get there late, by the time you get there late, they into the cheap bottle of wines. $2 Chuck. $2 Chuck from Trader Joe's. You better get there early. But anyway, I'm late, y'all. I hope you guys save me a plate. I really do. I tried to text y'all and tell you to save me a plate. I'm still coming. I'm here. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about, like my thumbnail said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. In a lot of ways, y'all, I'm kind of glad I waited a little bit because what I did was I watched the episode last night. I didn't watch it. So prior to watching the episode, I didn't watch any reviews. I didn't look at any of the chatter. To be honest with y'all, I was so busy and so deep into getting my own videos out. I didn't have a chance to go and look at anyone's videos on Love is Blind. And I also don't like it to taint my viewpoint too much before I do reviews. But anyway, after I watched the episode on Netflix, I decided to, I was so curious to see if anything has changed since they filmed the reunion. Because I was wondering when the reunion was filmed. So I figured out that the reunion was filmed really, y'all, just like a month ago, right? So it really was like almost a year after the at the altar to now. So I wanted to make sure the reunion was really like more current time. And it looks like the reunion was just filmed like I think in February. So I was happy about that because I really wanted to know what the real status was of some of these relationships. And then I went and I started looking at some of the reviews, reading some of the chatter going on. And y'all, my heart got heavy. But I'm going to cover that part in the bad part. But first, let's start off on a good note. Like I said, the thumbnail is called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I guess sometimes they say end on a good note, but we're going to end on the ugly. We're going to start off with the good, okay, first. And I want to say that, of course, the best good out of all this is Amy and Johnny. Amy and Johnny, love to see it. So happy that we have a winning couple this season out of Love is Blind. And be honest with you, I'm so happy I got a winning couple out of all the shows I review. I review Married at First Sight. I review Love is Blind. I review Ready to Love. And honestly, Amy and Johnny have been the bright spot in all of this. And just so lovely to see them together. Lovely to see Amy still being her princess. Amy says she don't wash no dishes and she don't clean no house. She got her a good one. Amy says she was a princess. Amy told everybody she was a princess. She walked down that aisle in a Cinderella dress. She put on that tiara. And even when they showed that picture, with that little cute little picture with her and her brother-in-law and sister-in-law and family. And she said, well, I know it looks like we're worshiping the men, but let me tell you, they worship us. They love the ground we walk on. Amy said, let all y'all know that I have not given up my tiara. And he loves me more than I love him. Well, I ain't gonna go that far. They love each other, but she definitely keeping with the princess role. I'm happy to see it. I'm happy they worked out all their birth control issues. I was happy to see how the families blended. It was not a surprise because we saw the families blending even on wedding day, prior to wedding days. Their families had become one. They travel together. Their dads talk to each other almost every day. Just lovely. Just a very, very lovely story. And proof that Love is Blind works. And proof that arranged marriages in a lot of ways can work. Not forced arranged marriages, but arranged marriages to this degree of Love is Blind. In a lot of ways, I think Amy and Johnny did become a bit more of like an arranged marriage because one is it was Love is Blind, but then also what they did was they integrated their families very early on in their process. So the families became involved. And typically in arranged marriages, the families are involved. So what a winning outcome for the Love is Blind franchise. And for, like they said, they have 9 couples out of the Love is Blind franchise that are still together. I think that's fantastic, because I don't think they've only been on 6 seasons compared to, Married at First Sight, 20 seasons. And I don't think that they have, in terms of the numbers, I don't think they have the same numbers that Love is Blind has. I'm hard pressed to find another dating reality show that has produced so many love marriages than Love is Blind. This really does seem like it is one of the best winning formulas out there. What else was good? What else can I put in the good category? Seeing all the couples that came back: Brett, Tiffany, Kwame, Chelsea. Oh, Chelsea getting a job with Love is Blind, traveling the world, interviewing people for the show. So she must be going to all these places. Love is Blind Brazil, Love is Blind Sweden, Love is Blind Japan. I don't know where. And I think Love is Blind is all over the world. So that job that she has, traveling the world, interviewing Love is Blind, has given them a chance to travel the world together, she and Kwame, because we knew Kwame loved to travel internationally. So what a joy that was to hear as well for them. Good to see that they're still together, going strong, still in love. We heard Izzy fixed his bad credit. Izzy fixed his bad credit. He needs to get a YouTube channel and show people how to do it. Shoot, because there's a lot of people out here with bad credit. So Izzy fixed his bad credit. Good for him. They announced that Izzy, Micah, and Jessica all are going to be on The Perfect Match. No, I never really watched The Perfect Match. I don't know who does. But good to see that they're continuing doing things with the franchise. Kinnett, what's it called? Kinnett Content, or whatever the brand name is that produces this content. I can't remember who it is. Good for them. What else did I put in the good category? You know what I put in the good category? I put in the good category that Matthew and AD met up, and that Matthew apologized. I put that in the good category. Good to see that Matthew apologized to AD for all that stuff he was doing. And AD realized what, everybody else out here realized, that she and Matthew wouldn't be in no good fit. Matthew said he was from a town of 600 people. 600 people. So AD said, we live completely different lives. Duh, AD. She said he made her some chicken and rice. He apologized, but they realized that they weren't a match at all, which I'm going to talk about more of AD, of course. But as you can see, AD and Clay aren't in my good category. They aren't in my good category. Y'all know I predicted a yes for AD and Clay. I predicted a yes for Chelsea and Jimmy. And I was wrong about both. Both were no's. Before decision day and even on decision day. But I will say this about Chelsea and Jimmy, because they're kind of straddling the good. Looks like they're good friends, or nice, good enough friends, I guess you could say, that they somehow seem to have still maintained a good, close relationship, because, they were sitting next to each other, very close to each other. I saw that immediately. Versus Clay and AD had quite a bit of space in between them. So out the bat, when I saw that, I was a little bit heavy-hearted. I was hoping that they would have been able to find their way back to each other. But like I said, I'm going to talk about that real soon. I guess it's good. I guess you could say it's good that Jessica and Chelsea are not enemies, considering what went on with them. I thought that was odd that they call themselves besties now. I thought it was odd, but yet I guess a good thing. I don't know. It might be a testament to who Jessica is, because a lot of the ladies really talk about how Jessica is really just a great friend. I mean, you have Micah, who gave her praise for being a good friend. Somehow or another, she's been able to bridge the gap with Chelsea. You've had AD. When I was sifting through things on the internet, you had AD mentioning that Jessica was also one of the women that she became the closest with throughout the show as well. So, maybe that's a testament to who Jessica is. We thought Jessica was a little bit snide. I mean, she had the line of the season which is get your EpiPen ready. Get your EpiPen ready. So let me tell you, if she could come back from that, get your EpiPen ready, when I know she was just saying about in terms of who she was. I know she wasn't trying to say it about Chelsea. That's very clear now. But if she can come back from saying that in any type of context with all about Chelsea and Jimmy, and then eventually become one of Chelsea's good friends to the point that her daughter Autumn calls Chelsea Auntie Chelsea, then, you know, she's one hell of a friend. She's one hell of a person who knows how to spin things and smooth things over. So much so that she got chosen for this perfect match. So the producers must like her as well. So it was good to see that that was a good turnout for that. But now we're going to move over to the bad, the good, bad, and the ugly. And now I'm going to move over to the bad. The first bad I'm going to talk about is Kenneth and Brittany. I know a lot of people think they should be in the good category because they're such good friends. I'm not putting them in the good category. I'm putting them in the bad category because I don't believe Kenneth. So here's the story that Kenneth wants us to believe. Kenneth wants us to believe that in the pods, he fell in love with Brittany. Brittany fell in love with Kenneth. So I don't even really believe all of Brittany's story either. So in the pods, Brittany fell in love with Kenneth, okay? Kenneth fell in love with Brittany. Now in the pods, there's nothing to look at. It's all just personality. It's the conversation that's so wonderful, right? It is bonding over things you have in common, bonding over your viewpoints, bonding over the way you see things in life, bonding over what you want in life. There's no physical contact. You don't see the person physically. So they bonded in the pods. They bonded in the pods very well. So much so that they were actually, I think they were the first. I think that Kenneth was the first one to propose to Brittany. Was he the first man out the pods? Or if he wasn't the first one out, he was darn near one of the first. So now you want me to believe that in the pods, you had all these stuff going on in common. Then the minute you get out of the pods and you see each other physically, there's zero going on. Zero conversation, zero bonding, zero things that you seem to even have to talk about. So when I told you all in the beginning, when the show was going on, that Brittany did not like Kenneth's looks and Kenneth did not like Brittany's looks, okay? I think there were a few people who disagree with me. There were a few people who disagree. I said, no, that's what it is, because if you have all these things in common and you're so strongly attracted to the conversation, the goals, the morals, whatever, and then you get out of the pods, and then all of a sudden, when you introduce the attraction part, there's nothing there. Well, what changed? The only thing that changed is you were able to physically see the person. And what neither one of them ever wanted to admit was that both of them were not attracted to each other. Kenneth was not what Brittany wanted. Let's be real about it. In fact, we heard that basically Brittany was the one who had maybe possibly broken up with Kenneth prior to the scene we saw, and the scene was a reenactment. Someone dropped down in my comments and told me that. But in any case, Brittany wasn't attracted to him. I'll stick by it. I'll stand by it 100%. And I'll also stand by that Kenneth was not attracted to Brittany. Okay, I'm going to stand by it. It never happened. Because now when you get to this reunion, I know it even more so, because now what they tell us is they've gone back to the pod relationship. And the pod relationship is when you talk every day, you share all the things you have in common, you share your daily life, you share your dreams, you share your hopes, you share everything. And that is the relationship now that they want to have. That's where they thrive. Where they thrive is on the mental attraction. They do not thrive on the physical attraction. So to sit here and say that the physical attraction wasn't a problem, that's a lie. Brittany was not attracted to Kenneth. And once again, Kenneth was not attracted to Brittany. Because now here they are right back into the same situation where now they're besties. They're talking every day. to the tune of when they're saying that when they do get a new partner, their new partner is going to have to accept each other. What? Who's going to do that? You're going to be in the same position that Jimmy's in. So you mean to tell me, Kenneth, Brittany, you're going to want a partner that comes along in your life and they're going to have to put up with the fact that you want to talk to Kenneth all day long? Well, you know what? Maybe Brittany's partners will be okay because maybe Kenneth is hiding something that we've always thought he hid. That maybe he's just not only not attracted to Brittany, maybe he's not attracted to women in general. So maybe it won't be a problem in their relationship going forward. But if Kenneth wants us out here to believe that he really is attracted to women, I don't know what woman is going to be wanting to be in a relationship with you, Kenneth, while you have this everyday, multiple times a day conversations with Brittany. A recipe for disaster. I'm one of the ones that doesn't quite believe that Kenneth is all the way into women. I'm in that camp. I'm not fully convinced. And once again, I don't like when, if that is the case, that he's using this situation to put another woman in a friend zone. Another woman. You see, I'm already dealing with that over there on Married at First Sight with Austin. This idea that how does it happen that every time these men meet a woman, they're never sexually attracted to them, but these women become their best friends? How does that happen? How do you keep luring in your friends, say, oh yeah, I met this girl and I really like this girl. I really like this woman. She could be my thing. But then conveniently, she just becomes put in the friend zone. There's no deals ever closed. You don't really even have no sex with her. Either you use religion not to have sex. You use all these different reasons why you're not sleeping with a woman. Use all these reasons. Oh, it's because of spiritual purposes. Oh, because I realize we don't have anything in common. Real convenient. Real convenient never to sleep with her. Real convenient never to close a deal. Real convenient never to get married. Real convenient. But what you're able to do is you're able to keep people around you off the scent of whether or not you really like women, because what they think is, oh no, he's in a relationship. Oh no, he just told me he likes this girl. You see, over there on Married at First Sight, Austin did it. Austin tried to pretend like he was really in the Becca all season. No, he wasn't. Then he tried to fool people that he might like this producer. No, he didn't. He's done it with his roommate. He's done it with Becca. Then he did it again with the producers. It's the same beginning and it's the same ending. Sure, you're my love interest in the beginning, but eventually, once we get to the physical part, I'm not interested. And so therefore, I put you in the friend zone and I keep you in the friend zone. And we just become good friends. Nah, I don't believe it. So I'm going to keep them in the bad category because, yeah, they may think their friendship is good, but I think it's a bad idea because it's a bad idea going forward for any of their relationships. And it's a bad idea because I think it prolongs people being honest about who they are. So nope, I'm not putting in the good category. I'm putting it in the bad category. The other person I'm putting in the bad category is I'm going to put Jimmy's situation in the bad category because it's messy. It's messy. This idea that I keep going back with Jimmy, that Jimmy doesn't want to let go of anybody. Jimmy has a problem letting go. One of the reasons why he's still talking to Chelsea, he can't let go. He can't let go of anything. He couldn't let go of Chelsea after this experiment. He couldn't let go of that girl he slept with, his friend. And now he's saying the fact that Chelsea exposed on TV. Now what he's saying is there's rift between him and that girl, but he still don't want to let it go. He still don't want to let them women go. I put it in the bad category because what Jimmy is creating is mess in his life, that if he ever finds a woman that he really loves and cares about, he's going to introduce her into some mess. Some mess. So now any woman that gets in Jimmy's life has to accept him being around these women constantly, talking to these women constantly that he's already had sexual relationships with. Why? That's unfair to the new woman. Why should she have to accept that? Why, Jimmy? Why? Move on. Learn how to let things go. Learn how like I said, the people know in life there's reasons and there's seasons for things. And sometimes, Jimmy, there are seasons for things. Sometimes there may have been a season for that woman in your life, the one that you slept with. There could have been a season for her in your life. But at this point in time, I believe that Jimmy is holding so tightly onto that season that what he's not doing, he's not moving forward to a life that he could be having a more fruitful life. I think that season is keeping him from the season he needs to be in. Because what you see about Chelsea, she was much more measured in this reunion. In fact, AD talked to the point was it was weird seeing Chelsea on camera because in real life, Chelsea is so confident. She's so different. But to see her so unhinged and out of control doing this experiment, AD was like, I didn't even really recognize Chelsea, which means a lot of the mess that Jimmy had in his life with these people in his life really rattled Chelsea. I'll go back, even though they didn't say yes to each other, right? Jimmy and Chelsea didn't say yes. I'll go back to what I said, the reason they're not together. The reason they're not together is not because of the foundational things that really binded them together. What they're really not together is because Jimmy was upset with Chelsea because she told this secret on this friend of his, and Jimmy didn't want to give up that woman. That's why they're not together, because there's no other reason where these two probably couldn't have made it. We said because Chelsea is crazy, Chelsea's unhinged, but I still think Jimmy likes a little toxicness. He likes a little bit of toxicity in his life, hence why he keeps this woman around. He likes a little bit of a mess. He likes this clinginess of people. He doesn't want to give up anyone. He creates a toxicity, and all of that actually is what he likes, because he likes to hang on to people, but it's also then what becomes the demise of his relationships. So do I think that Jimmy's game plan is good going forward? No, I don't. I think it's a bad game plan. I really do. If he wanted a good friend that he could talk with and tell his deepest, darkest secret, then he should have become friends with Chelsea, married Chelsea, and that's who he could have talked to, and he should have given up that girlfriend. That's what he should have done. Are you here for the now, the season, or are you here for a lifetime? Reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. And he really gave up an opportunity for a lifetime with Chelsea for a season with this other woman. I don't agree. I think it was a bad move, and I think it's a pattern that Jimmy has. And I think and I think what Jimmy is constantly looking for are not ever having to get rid of anything in his life, not knowing how to shed the old and get the new. So whether he gets back with Chelsea or not, because I've seen some rumors that maybe they're still friends, maybe they're still talking, maybe they're still dating, I don't know. But he needs to figure it out. He either needs to shed Chelsea and move on, or if he's going to be with Chelsea, those friends are going to have to accept Chelsea. Because obviously, the woman whose business was told is the one with the problem. Chelsea ain't got no problem. So either that woman's going to need to forgive Chelsea and move on so they can all be friends together, or Jimmy needs to give up that girlfriend. Because at this point in time, is she the one holding up Jimmy moving on? Is her anger the one that Jimmy's trying to coddle? Is Jimmy still trying to placate that woman? That's a problem. It's a bad. I'm not putting it in the good. I'm putting it in the bad category. And now I'm going to move on to the bad that broke my heart, and that is the one with Clay and AD. Y'all know I was rooting for them. And to be honest with y'all, I wasn't too far off. One thing I did call was that I knew that when Clay had a little bit of moment to think about it, he would come back and he would realize he made a mistake. I said it in my video that when Clay went home and thought about it and gave him some time, he's going to realize he made a mistake. Now, I know all of you don't believe Clay. Not all of you. A lot of you don't believe Clay when he says he loves AD, and that so far in his life, AD has been the love of his life. Doesn't mean he won't find another love later in life if they don't get back together. But so far, of all the women that Clay has dated, what he's saying is AD has been the love of his life. Remember, it's his life up until now. And I believe it. And let me tell you what the sad part is that's heavy on my heart. The sad part isn't that necessarily they haven't, gotten back together, because that's AD's choice. I'm going to tell you what my sad part is. My sad part is that people don't believe Clay when he says he loves AD. I don't get that part. I don't understand why people believe that Clay is so calculating that he is on a mission to lie for now over a year. That Clay is here lying that he loves a woman, and he's been keeping this lie for a whole year. He told the woman in the pods that he loved her. He told the woman when they were out of the pods that he loved her. He's told the woman, even when he said no at the altar, he told the woman that he loved her. He's also told the woman here now a year later that he loves her, but yet the public doesn't believe Clay. And I don't know why. One thing I can say about Clay is no one has any dirt on him. No one does. Just like I said last video, that the picture that people want to paint of Clay, part of it is true and part of it's not true. Let me tell you, if Clay was such the horrible person that everyone wants to say he is, there would be plenty of women coming out the woodworks. I saw some video talking about, Clay's girlfriend comes out the woodworks. And I tried to piece through it, but in the end, the lady never said nothing. There was no woman produced. Okay, we're going to get to the ugly. All the other men, there were their receipts. Where are the receipts on Clay that he's treated women horribly out here in the street? There are no receipts. I've also said that when Clay was in the pods, there were no receipts even in the pods. There were no even other women that have come forward to say Clay was doing anything like Matthew. Clay was courting various women. So you guys all want me to believe that Clay is such a horrible person. He's a womanizer. He uses women, but somehow he didn't do it in the pods, and somehow there are no other women coming forward telling all his business. You know how popular this show is? You know how many women would love to come forward and tell all their horrible stories of Clay? There are none. Not to the degree people want us to believe. And here's the other thing I'm sad about. I'm sad about that the narrative is that Clay would never find a woman like AD beautiful. I'm saddened over it. And really, no one has any good reason why they say that besides the fact that she's dark skinned. I'm a dark skinned chocolate lady. I actually kind of find it offensive that Clay would not find AD beautiful and attractive. Why? She seems to have a beautiful spirit. She seems to have a beautiful soul. Okay. I think she's attractive. I think she's beautiful. Why? Because she sometimes wears a crazy looking weave, but her hair looking better now. Her hair is looking better. Sometimes she wore them eyelashes that we didn't like. Yeah, but what is that? That's not everything. You take that off. Even beautiful women we see out in the street, they take them eyelashes off. You'd be surprised what a lot of women look like without makeup on out here. Even women we call beautiful. Have you ever seen Khloe Kardashian without makeup? Have you ever seen Kylie Jenner without makeup and before she got all the cosmetic surgery? People call her beautiful all the time. They call these women beautiful all the time. But somehow or another, we just can't believe that a guy like Clay would like a woman like AD because what? She's dark skinned. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Let me tell you something. Clay is a handful. Clay is a handful. Even if a lot of women find Clay physically attractive, there's so many other things going on with Clay that there are a lot of women who would run from Clay. Y'all all said you was run from Clay. So what makes you believe that AD wasn't a good deal for Clay? AD was a good deal for Clay. That's why I knew that in the end he was going to regret it. Clay is a handful. Every woman in the street ain't lining up to be with Clay. So the fact that he had a woman who loved him, cared for him, was ride or die for him, was willing to stick with him while he got better, she was a good catch for him, and he fell in love with that. So I'm not one of the people who believe that Clay has been out here lying for a whole year about his love for AD. And I don't know, I kind of find it a bit offensive for AD. Now, was Clay ready to be married? No, we know that. I agree with that 100%. Was Clay really ready to come on this show? No, I agree 100% on that. I can agree with that all day long. But the narrative I see the most is that Clay never wanted to marry AD, doesn't love AD, was never going to marry her because of the way she looks. I don't believe it. Now, if you want to say Clay was never going to get married to any woman because he was afraid and he had all these demons in his life, okay, I can roll with that. But to say that Clay didn't want to get married to AD simply because of the way she looked, and that was the sole reason he's rejecting her, which I see a lot of people spinning that narrative out here, I think is wrong. I think it's foul. And I think it's teaching a lot of brown skin, not say brown skin, I want to say chocolate skin girls that listen, no matter how great you are as a woman, no matter how accomplished you are in your career, no matter how nice spirited you are, you're in shape, you want to be a wife, you're dedicated to your man, that you know what? A man like Clay ain't gonna never want to marry you. I think it's really, really a bad message. I just think it's a bad message. And I'm gonna tell you what I think else is bad about it. Because I think that if Clay and AD were still in a bubble, and I'm saying when I say a bubble, removed from all this public scrutiny, AD would give Clay another chance. It sounds like Clay spent some time. I don't know if he's given up now. I don't know if the door is completely shut. He spent some time going to therapy, trying to make himself a better person, and also still trying to hang on to AD at the same time. It looks like he's tried, but it looks like the person who probably is the least willing to do it at this point now is AD. AD was doing, 2 feet in, 10 toes down, as she says. And Clay said, I'm not ready. Well, first of all, Clay ain't the only person to say no at the altar. In fact, that's the rules of the whole show, to be able to say no at the altar. So it's not like Clay broke any rules. Sure, people said, well, you should have told AD before, you should have warned AD. I get that. It was foul. I understand. I agree. He could have given her a warning. But it was the rules of the show. It was the rules of the show. It was the risk that every woman takes when they come on the show, that you possibly could be told no at the altar. It's the whole premise of the show. It's just like Married at First Sight. We get mad at Married at First Sight when people end the marriages early and tell the woman, hey, I don't like you. We want them to go all the way to decision date. Well, what's the difference? In Married at First Sight, we complain when they end the process early, but then on Love is Blind, we get mad if the man goes all the way. So one thing is, I think people have it really out for Clay. I do. I think there's a special little oomph they have for Clay. And I don't know if it's because people are triggered by Clay, that there have been Clays in their life and the Clays have done them wrong. There's been Clays that have strung them along. And so what they want to do is they want to impart upon AD this wisdom and say, girl, don't be me. Don't be me. I was strung along by a Clay in the world. And in the end, he never really wanted to marry me. He just strung me along and used me for my body. Well, first of all, Clay has not even had enough time to string AD along for any real length of time. You got to remember that they only were in the pods with a couple of weeks, and then they were married, maybe not married, but engaged or whatever you want to call it, for 3 weeks. I believe that outside of this world of scrutiny, AD would have given Clay more time and a second chance. I do. But AD can't do that in the public, because you know how many people would call AD a fool if it didn't work? Do you know how many people would tell AD, I told you so, you're low self-esteem, you're this? You know how difficult it would be for AD to date Clay publicly? Nearly impossible. Nearly impossible. But the fact that this man just said, no, I'm not ready to marry yet, but I still love you. And the fact that their relationship was cut short in literally just 2 months time. And there are lots of people saying, don't give him a second chance. Well, all those people are hypocritical. You know why? Because I can guarantee you, women who have been strung along in relationships were strung along longer than a couple of months. They were strung along longer. AD was strung along for a couple of months. I get it. She was. He wasn't prepared for marriage. He wasn't prepared to say yes. He strung her along for, let's say, 3 months. Women have been strung along in marriage longer than 3 months. You got women dating men for 10 years strung along. Okay? You got women for 10 years, 5 years, long periods of time strung along. So actually, I think it is a bit unreasonable that if you have a man who says, I love you, I want to be with you, you're the love of my life, but I want to be a bit more prepared for marriage, I want to go to therapy, I actually think it's unreasonable for you not to give that man at least 6 months to see what progress he makes. I think it's unreasonable. I think you could have some timelines. I think you could say, you know what? I love you too. I understand you a lot of pressure. I understand all the generational curses that you were dealing with. I understand it. Was it good for me? Was I publicly humiliated? Yes, I was all those things. But do you know how hard it is to find love out here? Do you know how hard it is to find the love of your life? So if AD really loved Clay and Clay really loves AD, what's wrong with 6 months? What's wrong with dating Clay for 6 months? And if you find that in 6 months, he isn't making the type of progress you want, then you can break it off. 6 months to a year. If we not engaged for real in a year, I'm leaving. What's a year out of your life? Women are being strung along longer than a year. Longer than a year. But you know why AD can't do it? Because she would have so many people calling her a fool, calling her low self-esteem. She can't do it. Because if it doesn't go well, if it ends badly, everyone's going to tell her, I told you so. In fact, even if she got married to Clay and they broke up in 3 years, there will be another whole group of people who will come back in 3 years and say, I told you so. I told you so. You know what I really hope for? I really hope that secretly AD and Clay have developed their own pod. I do. One out of the public eye, one in which they are dating each other secretly behind the scenes. One in which AD has given Clay a timeline and said, I'm willing to go with you on this journey of healing. And if you can go on this journey of healing and you can do it in a way, 6 months, 8 months, a year, definitely no more than a year, then I'm willing to take the chance with you. I'm willing to take the risk for love. Because I too have been out here for a long time and I haven't found anyone that loves me. I haven't found anyone who's called me the love of my life, their life. AD hasn't been there before. She's there now. And you mean to tell me you're going to chuck it all away because you dated a man for just 2 months? Nah, it's the public. She's doing it because she wants the public acceptance. And now that's become more important than what's going on with her and Clay. Right now, what she's trying to save now is her ego and her pride. And she's actually not following her heart. And that was one of the things that I loved about AD, was that AD was so giving and she followed her heart. But now this new AD I see, the one that's talking about when you see the red flags, believe them, It's not that it's not true, but what I see coming out of her is a hardness. It's a hardness that wasn't there before with AD. That's why I'm putting it in the bad category. Because I find it bad. I find it sad. I think that the progress that Clay has made, I think the words that Clay has done, there are no women that have come out of the woodworks saying that Clay was even dating in the pods, after the pods, nothing. There's no salacious information. I think it's sad that AD can't feel comfortable enough to give the man she says she's in love with, the man that says he loves her, 6 months. I think it's sad. And I think a lot of women are lying to AD when they said they haven't given a man 6 months. They have. Women out here have given women out here have given men way more time than 6 months. Now, sure, should she give him 10 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years? No, not even 2 years. Like I said, a year at the most. But the advice, if AD is my friend, if AD is my daughter, if AD is my niece, I'm saying explore your relationship out of the public eye. You may come to the same conclusion that no, he's playing games. You don't want to be with him. He's shuffling his feet. You may come to that same conclusion. You really may. But you also may come to a different conclusion. And when I think about where they are, where they've been, how much they've been through, it's worth 6 months. It's worth 6 months. I think I'll go back to one of the good moments wrapped up in Clay when he said, when he looked at Brett and Tiffany, and Brett specifically, Brett was the person that he idolized. Brett was the one that he measured himself against and said, I'm not Brett. therefore I'm not ready to be married. And Brett choked up. And what I loved about what Brett said was that, man, I wasn't sure either. I was nervous too. And this is what I say about when people say, oh, he's not ready for marriage. Line them up. Line up all the people who weren't married, ready for marriage. And then I want you to line up the people who said they were ready for marriage, but once they got in marriage, they realized they weren't ready for it all the way. It's everybody. You'd be hard pressed to find a married person who said, I was fully prepared for marriage. You'd be hard pressed. Even people who think they were prepared weren't prepared. Mothers, think of it. You might have thought you was prepared for having a baby, being a mother. Oh, I got this down. I done read all the books. I done talked to all the mothers. I already got all the techniques down, everything. But when the moment came, when you were thrust into that life, did you realize you weren't prepared? There are a lot of people who think they're prepared and they're not. Okay. And most people go into most situations unprepared in the real scheme of things. That's why there are so many divorces. So this sort of pedestal that Clay has put up in terms of the barometer of being ready for marriage. One is, I think it's good that he wants to be more prepared because he needs to be. But I also think that he's also put this preparedness that he needs to have too high up. Maybe because he's an athlete. What I know about Clay, he's very regimented. We saw when he was stacking those dishes. We've seen his house very neat, very organized. Like I said, he was disciplined as an athlete. He wants to be prepared, ready for a track meet. All the I's dotted, all the T's crossed. You could tell the way he thinks. You could tell the way he speaks. He's very regimented. He wants things completely prepared. He's very methodical. But there's also a part of love and marriage that is a risk, and you're never going to get rid of it. You're never going to be completely prepared for too many things. Not everything. Definitely not marriage. You have no idea what's coming your way when you get married. You think you do. You think you do. But you can't predict the future. You can't predict what's going to come into your life. You can't predict the circumstances. You never know. So I think in a lot of ways, Clay does need a lot more preparation, but I also think he's trying to be over-prepared. Over-prepared. Like I said, I went away on my last video, being out on a limb, the one that says, I hope they say yes. I was the one. And I'm going to be the one here too that says, I hope, I pray that outside of the public view, that they are working on their relationship in their own pod and that it works, that it flourishes, and that AD won't let all the public scrutiny, all the I told you so's keep her from making a decision that she wants to make. And that she's not pandering to the audience who are going to say, I told you so. You're low self-esteem. You know what? You should have known that no man would want to marry no chocolate girl like you with fake eyelashes and a bad weave at time. You're not the type of woman that he would ever go for. It's just a bad message. It's a bad message. And then when we get down to the ugly, like I said, it's normally good to end on a high note, but we're going to end with the ugly. We're going to put them on the bottom because they on the bottom. And the ugly definitely is going to be Sarah Ann and Jeremy. Fine. Y'all deserve each other. That's going to end. That whole relationship is built on lies and deception. That house won't stand. They'll be broken up. They're probably broken up now. They probably just made it past the reunion. Maybe a few more months, they'll be broken up. As soon as their lease is up, they said they're living together. As soon as that lease is up, they're going to decide to not stay together and go their separate ways and move to another apartment. They only still together because they still got that lease together. But I don't believe that's going to last. I think that whole relationship is built on lies and deception. And just like Love is Blind, they called them on fakery for the camera. I'm glad Love is Blind was calling out all these fake people, because Love is Blind said, we ain't trying to be married at first sight. We ain't trying to have people come on here just for fame and public attention, because you're going to ruin the process. There's too many people on here really trying to find wives and husbands, and you coming over here putting pee in the water. So we want to send a strong message to people like you and people like Trevor, who's the worst, the ugliest of them all, that you're not wanted here. You're not, and we're gonna call you out publicly. We're gonna publicly shame you. We're gonna put you up on the podium so we could all fire off of you and say, we don't want you here. We don't want you in this club. We don't want you anywhere around. Okay, I'm glad Laura got to have her last say with Jeremy and Sarah Ann. I'm glad she was able to call in all the way from, where is she, Italy or Spain, wherever she was. I'm glad she got to phone in her rage. Good for you, Laura. But I don't mean Laura ain't got her own work to do. We know Laura has a lot of work to do on her, and I hope she learned something too. But at least I was happy to see she got to get in some good licks on Sarah Ann and Jeremy. And then Trevor, what a mess. What a complete mess. He's got to be one of the worst on the shows. We thought Matthew was one of the worst on the shows, but Jeremy takes home the prize of the biggest dweeb, the worst of all. And now we know he got that big old body, but he ain't got no big brain to go with it. He's a dweeb. He's a dweeb, and he sat there with nothing to say, no explanation, nothing. You weren't prepared. You weren't prepared, Trevor, with no comment, no nothing when you came on this show. You know you were exposed. So why didn't you come here with a prepared speech? Talking about, well, she wasn't really my girlfriend, but then you talking about how much you love her. You the love of my life and all this other kind of stuff. Ugh. I don't even want to spend too much time on the ugly because it's just that ugly, to be honest with you. But I hope Love is Blind sent a clear message to people coming forward that if we find out at all that you're trying to pull some shenanigans like Trevor did, we're going to out you. We're going to out you, and your life will be miserable going forward. Send a strong message. That's what Married at First Sight needs to do. Instead of trying to cover it up like Married at First Sight does, you need to actually expose it and warn anybody else coming on that if you try this mess on our show and you try to put pee in the water of this show, where we do have some really strong marriages and love coming out of it, we're going to come for you hard. But anyway, that's it, y'all. Thanks for not shutting down the party early. Thanks for letting me come back. And if you stayed this long and listened to me, thank you for saving me a plate. The food was good. And thank you for not drinking up all the good liquor and all the good wine. All righty, y'all. I'll talk to you later. Bye.